Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I have a good one doing a tank sealer on the CX500 Deluxe tank using some KBS products. So stick around and I'll show you guys exactly how to do it. Alright, so we have finished the tank for the CX and now the bike is basically ready to go to paint. Now, I have a little bit of time before I can actually take it to paint. So what I want to do is go ahead and seal the tank. Now, I've taken my time and I've filled up any potential hole this thing has, but another just nice piece of insurance is to install a liner. Now, I know the older liners, there's like red coat or whatever, or cream. I've seen a lot of those. Seen a lot of them fail. And this thing had some kind of, I think it had red coat in it before, and I don't know if you were familiar with like the couple episodes ago on the tank. I had to pick a lot of that out. It was just flaking off. So what I'm going to use is the KBS kit here. This is a KBS Cycle Tank Sealer Kit. Now they make a bunch of different products. This isn't like sponsored or anything like that. This is just what I've been using for the last few years on every bike. So a friend turned me on to these, and so far I've had really good luck with this. And you can get all these components individually, but this is just the three-piece kit that I buy. It's about $45 to $50. Like I said, so far so good. Come with instructions, and there's three main components. So it's your rust blast. This is the clean, so that's going to be step one, and then it has a little bit of the actual tank sealer itself. It comes with a glove and a brush, which you'll use a little bit of, but basically the key here, obviously this has its own kit to help better your chances of having a nice sealer that's going to adhere and stay there forever. But the biggest thing you can do is all of your prep work. So don't rely just on this and just on the times that it says to do everything. You want to maximize your chances of getting this right the first time, because if you mess it up the first time, it's very hard to go back and do it again. So what I've been doing with this tank is obviously I rode the bike a little bit, so I had some fuel in here. And you notice on the first ride I had, I left a little water in the tank on accident because I couldn't get all that out. So anyway, it's important to get all this stuff out. So what I did yesterday is I just flushed and flushed and flushed this thing out with water, and that's doing two things. It's trying to remove all the gasoline, as well as with that flow, is trying to remove any of those potential like pieces of sediment or any loose debris that was put in there from like the welding process and cutting panels and stuff like that. Try to get everything out of there that I could. So I know as of now there's probably like 2 or 3 drops of water in this little side right here. I've been trying to heat it up and kind of essentially burn it out, but ran a bunch of compressed air through this. And like I said, I've had it sitting under the heater all day today, so that the tank itself would just naturally warm up and try to evaporate anything out. So with it being exposed right now, there is a tiny bit of surface rust, because I didn't put any like WD-40 in that because I want to have a good adherence. So there's a tiny bit of surface rust, which is fine. That's what your rust blast is for. So step one of this usually is the KBS Clean, and this is it says all-purpose cleaner degreaser. So for like any kind of gum and residue and crap like that, this isn't really going to do a whole lot for this right now, because I've taken so much time and done all the prep work and had access to remove the old liner and all the old debris. We're still going to do it, but it's not going to do as much as it possibly could on a more long forgotten tank or a more rough tank. So basically, once I get down to business, I'll do that. We'll flush it out. There's going to be instructions in all this too. Flush it out. I'll do the rust blast. That's going to take care of all the surface rust in there. And then once that dries, we go ahead and we do the tank sealer. Now it's important, don't shake this stuff up. You don't want to aerate it. You want to keep it nice and just, don't agitate it. You'll stir it, but you don't want to agitate it. Shaking it's not going to do anything of benefit. Anyway, I want to review the instructions. It's been probably a year since I've done one of these things. Review the instructions, and then I'll get right back with you. Alright guys, so reviewing the instructions. One thing is a constant with these KBS instructions is that they get folded up, and when you unfold them, one section's always missing, and it's always the most important section. But I've done this before, so it's okay. But let me read you a couple things they have in here multiple times. For best results, please be patient during each step of the procedure. Do not rush. For best results, please be patient during each step. Do not rush. Okay? So, you're gonna want to have some kind of gloves in this to protect the stuff from getting on your skin, because once it's on there, it's on there pretty good, So, if you're doing this on an already painted tank, which is no problem, you want to take some precautions not to get it on the paint. So what I do, grab some carnauba wax, and you can just slather this stuff all over the tank, and then that'll create at least an initial protective barrier for whenever you're pouring that stuff in, or if whenever you're flipping the tank over. If any of it drips, it's going to touch that carnauba wax. You can wipe it away and apply more wax as just that barrier. So stuff works really good. Just make sure whenever you're moving the tank around, you don't let the tank slip, because it's wax. So that's a good tip. That's something I do on all the painted ones. For this thing, not really that necessary, so I'm just going to kind of go for it. Now I mentioned the KBS clean for me. This is going to be step 1, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and forego it on this, because since I had this panel out, I had picks and stuff, and I was scraping along the edges, and I know that it is bare metal, and there's no gum or junk in this thing to clean out, so this would just be kind of redundant, and it would just add some time. But if you're going to use this, the instructions, you basically pour it in, or drain your tank, and then you work on sealing everything up. So pour this in 1-to-1 with water, and then rotate it and keep it in here for up to 24 hours. You want to just keep rotating it, letting it soak on those areas where there might be extra junk. So I'll put up a photo now, but I had some acetone in this tank when I was trying to get out the old liner, and I had the tank sitting up like this to let that acetone focus on different sections of the tank where I wanted. So drain this out, and then you rinse it with water until it runs clean, and then air dry the tanks. You want, again, just very dry when you're done. So once you do that and the tank is dry, then it's time for rust blast. You pour the rust blast in, and don't dilute it, just full strength, and then you rotate it about every 5 minutes for, I think, up to minimum of 30 minutes to 1 hour. Time is very important, so think about what else you're going to be doing. Just try to stay diligent about rotating this, because you do not want to let this dry on the metal. So anyway, do not allow it to dry on the surface. Once it's etched, you're going to rinse the tank out again. Just keep rinsing it, and then you want to again air dry it. Now in that instance, you might still see a little bit of oxidation or white powder. That's okay. It's just being etched. That's normal. But you just want to make sure it's completely dry again before you go for the tank sealer. Once you do the tank sealer, like I mentioned, you want to stir it, make sure it's mixed up, don't shake it, don't agitate it. And then you pour this in and work the tank around. This is the hard part. You work the tank around, and what I'm going to be doing is using little mirrors and flashlights and figuring out that I have coverage on over here or something. That's the hard part. You want to make sure you're rotating it for up to 30 minutes. Once you're past 30 minutes, you kind of need to drain out the excess and then let it start curing. But up until about 30 minutes, you need to be just kind of moving it around and trying to get it in all of those areas that you might not have coverage in, because you want to get coverage everywhere. So that's kind of the breakdown of it. What I'm going to do, as I mentioned again, I'm just going to go ahead and forego the clean, because I think this is this tank is already well beyond what this thing is for. I could probably even forgo the rust blast, but I do want the etching capabilities of this. So what I'll do, I have a plug for the petcock, or the fuel outlet there. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on, pour this in, and then I'll just start rotating it around, and then I'll start flushing it. So from there, we'll drain this in the bucket, but then we'll flush it and then dry it back out, and that's gonna take a while. I'm rambling. I want to get to work. Seal this up, then I'm immediately going to go outside and just start flushing this thing out. Make sure it doesn't dry. Alright, just flush this thing out with water, flush it a bunch, and then now I'm going to go ahead, get the air compressor fired up, and then just start air drying this thing. The general rule is that once you flush it out and shake it where you can't get any more water out, as soon as you set it on your workbench, it starts dripping everywhere. I don't know where it comes from. It's magic though. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get the air compressor fired up, get some ear protection on, and be at this for like 10 minutes or something. Just get it as dry as possible. Alright, so it's been about an hour since I drained this thing and did the air compressor, so I've done a couple sessions of just like leaving it, set up in a certain position to let any kind of potential moisture move down where I want it. And then I'm just low heat, just heating up the metal on the seams where it's going to gather. And I know it's dry. The tank is just warm to the touch. I can look in a little bit with the flashlight. I can see, there's no moisture here and here where I was normally able to see it. So I think we're good to go now. There is, even if I brought the camera up to this, you're not going to be able to see it. But I got to get better flashlights. These things never work. There is a little bit of the residue they talked about. That's that etching happening. So before it sits too much longer, I'm going to go ahead and get the sealer stirred up and then get to pouring it in. So once I start, as I've said, up to a half hour, just keep rotating it. Keep moving it around. And this one's going to be extra tough for me because I'm not going to know where is covered. I just have to use my best judgment. It's not exactly an easy thing, but we'll do our best here. So I'm going to pop that open, get it stirred up, and pour it in. Alright, so this is that moment where you're going to want to be sure you have that carnauba wax on the tank should the thing be painted. So get some gloves on and to work. Right there, that's where that carnauba wax would have came in handy. All right, now just start rolling. I know you're not going to be able to see this, but it's just like a slow moving coating that's going to travel around the whole tank. Flashlight on and off. It shouldn't be so complicated, and they shouldn't be flicking all the time. I rebuild them. That's probably like the fourth one I've done that to. They just never work. And leave it to the cheesy 96-cent ones to actually do something. So then they're too big to freaking see past. Rant over. Alright, so I am very confident that I got this all covered. Took my time with it. So I'm going to let it kind of start to accumulate towards the petcock here. Set it up like this. Alright, so we got it set up like this. We're going to let all of the excess kind of drain down. We'll give it a few minutes, and then I'll go ahead and tilt it over, and then we'll work on getting the excess drained back out into this. Now, I have saved these. Once you open the can, you're not supposed to restart it or try it again, so I just ended up throwing them away, but it's tempting for sure. Anyway, as they say in the instructions, do not rush this. Devote a lot of time to it and do it right. And then just take your time, have some good flashlights, and get a mirror. Definitely get a good mirror, and just look around, and you'll get the hang of it. But I'm not going to say it's easy, but I've done a few of these, so I'm a little bit more used to it. Anyway, let's get this drained. I mean, where else are you gonna get this riveting entertainment on YouTube? Oh, it dripped. I guess there is that saying, it's like watching paint dry. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and drain out the excess as much as I can get out of it. And then I'm going to let it sit for as long as I can. Basically, you want, give it at least 72 hours before you put gas in it. I know it says on the KBS instructions, but of course, anyway. So yeah, when you're done with this stuff, try to give it at least 72 hours to cure before you put any fuel in the tank or anything like that. Just to give it time. Again, everything with these, just don't rush it. That's very important. All right, guys, that does it for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. The tank liner is in, and all we're doing is letting the excess drain out. So as of now, the tank is just gonna be sitting. But I hope you guys maybe learned something here, or maybe I put some mystery to bed with this, and just explained and showed the process in detail, like I always try to do for you guys. So if you guys liked the video or found it helpful, definitely leave a like. You know, comment below if you have any questions or anything like that, and then definitely check the description, as I'll definitely link, as always, the products that I used. Again, this is a KBS tank seal. Just something I've been using for a few years now that I've always had good success with. So anyway, hope you guys like this one. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you in the next video. So thanks for watching.